As it is on the physical life level, so it is in the other life levels too, in regards to defending oneself. As a real being of light, if we recognize that is what we all are, every individual has the right to defend themselves. Were an individual to initiate an attack, they are choosing and deciding to play into the hands of cause and effect, as this is the law by which creation is based. Everything we do here has an effect. What we cause to set in motion, as in physical acts, will result in an effect. If not immediately experienced, or experienced a ways down the line, it will be so in future lifetimes. And that is where the trap of creation is sprung, not as a trick or a deception, but as the result of the decision we make to set things in motion. And should we continually set causes in motion, the effects can not only bombard us this lifetime, but extend into future lifetimes, and the creating of future lives in creation is made so by the effects that must be experienced by what is chosen to cause, regardless of the deed, be it good or bad. The duality of creation and the psych realms is such that the law of cause and effect is indifferent to the nature of the cause. The effect is sure to follow. Nothing is negated in creation. Everything is fine from the perspective of the is, and one's real awareness. It's simply experience. The is cares not how dark and dismal a deed you choose to exact, but be assured the consequence will be yours to deal with, and the darker the deed, if it infringes very violently and imposes detrimentally on others, the effect is in equal measure. Everything equals itself. Were someone to murder, they may well get away with it in this lifetime, in regards to the established authorities not capturing them and bringing justice. But the is sees all. It does not judge. It is beyond such ideas. It will watch impassively on as individuals get entangled in situations of their own devising, and spiral off into endless future lifetimes in this world of toil, boredom, and slavery. For yes, maybe an individual is very smug that they have evaded the justice systems, but justice is measured out in creation regardless, and a murderer may well find a future lifetime then as one experienced with a crippling disability, as the karmic debt must be paid. In fact, those that do such things, or anything which exposes them to cause and effect consequences, are potentially setting themselves up for dire situations depending on the severity of the act. People who find themselves murdered, or that find themselves the recipient of the foul deeds of others, may have created something in a previous life that has created an effect that allows their own murder or hardship at the hands of others. I heard how some murderers and assassins, particularly those that work on behalf of the Cabal, may view the Akashic records, probably with the blessings of the Callum god, to see who has karmic debt, or the type of debt that will permit them to be a victim. In this way, they are simply exacting the effect that the individual has earned for themselves. Perhaps then the murderer, if selecting victims in this manner, may not have such a severe effect to face themselves, than if they slew an innocent, one who had not earned such an effect. I heard a harrowing tale of how one female was with a partner who was very aggressive and angry. It transpired the female had been the male in their prior lifetime. Their genders switched then, and had murdered his partner. Now the emotional attachment, violent though it was, had bonded them and returned them back again, with the male now, with subconscious anger toward the partner who murdered him previously in their last life. One could imagine that if the man murdered her this time around, this situation could occur again in the next life. They could conceivably spend eternity killing each other back and forth until they resolved this, maybe through awareness of the situation. One can imagine all kinds of situations like this, which bind people together for lifetimes. Emotional attachments, regardless of the nature of the emotion, good, or, as in this case with the couple, bad, future lifetimes will demand their return and bring the individuals together again. I knew a few friends from years ago who, although friends, harboured a bitterness between themselves, and on the surface made no sense. But from the perspective of this information, we can see maybe possible reasons this may be so. Gwen, my mother, said they were like a married, squabbling couple, so maybe she intuitively revealed who they were in a previous life, and why the resentment is present. Maybe a marriage that didn't end well. Of course, not only actual physical actions can cause us future effects and karma and future lifetimes, but thoughts too. The thoughts we cling to, the ideas we solidify ourselves with, particularly as we age, and thoughts become mighty stone edifices of unbreakable conviction, and imprison us within their cold, harsh walls, until we choose to smash a brick loose and take a few peeks beyond the confines of our self-constructed prison of rigidity. Of course, regardless of our state of awareness, if we have vehicles in creation, they will have emotions and thoughts. It is how they are created, but we don't have to agree or condemn ourselves by what we think or feel, being the conscious effects of them, as we drag these irritating vehicles about, and letting them have their funny thoughts and strange sensations. We don't have to act on what the thoughts and feelings and desires are compelling us to do, and into the mix will be the influence, its purpose, the reason for its being, to encourage us to pursue these very things. It surely is a focus and a necessity to scan oneself and ensure no ideas or created intents are taking a foothold, to keep established one's real intent, and ideally be with that from moment to moment, the physical self being very strong, as it has been created and present for millions of lifetimes, and is used to being the captain of the ship. The vehicles can be viewed objectively, being the objective view. One can imagine regarding the 5 bodies as little individuals, with the faculties that make them what they are. Watch with amusement as they dance, as the mental vehicle thinks and adds ideas to what already is pure and perfect. How the emotional vehicle sees an enticing image and becomes lustful. Objectively viewing and utilizing the imagination in this manner takes one out of themselves for a moment, to stop considering and deliberating over their vehicles, and in this state one is in the position of real awareness. We are already that, a free being of real light with the is. We must recognize this, but accept that the 5 bodies and creation will be a part of us until we need them no longer. As I said, it's one thing to have ideas, even play with them, but always attempt to return to oneself, the real you. If one goes a little off kilter and stays there longer than is necessary, for it is easy to get lost in one's thoughts. If I establish an idea or some action I am planning to take that makes no sense with the real me or all of life, I get a nagging feeling. This nagging feeling won't go away, even if I try and ignore it and pretend it isn't there. In the end, it drives me crazy. I always know what the nagging feeling represents, so I must address it and sincerely decide to abandon the notion or future action that the nagging feeling is highlighting. I can't pretend to want to abandon whatever it is either. The nagging feeling remains until my contention to drop it is 100%. This nagging feeling, I began to experience it a good 10 years or so ago, years before I came across the new presentation, but I recognized it as a means to steer more effectively through life. It certainly knew best, even if I thought, or my little physical self thought better. So it's conceivable this was my real self, or maybe a guide, demonstrating that even should an individual not find the new presentation, they are still receiving guidance, hints and nudges from the ears, and guides, and their real self. Life always is demonstrating itself to us all, regardless of if we accept it or not. Also, the possibility I may have set up this nagging reaction myself, and my physical, literal me was unaware of it. Maybe if I had been a new student or equivalent in a past life, in some place or form, but had only become aware to a degree, this may be things I set up then, or between the physical lives, in readiness for this one. Dwayne informed me I had done this before, so maybe then I did begin my journey to the ears in previous lifetimes, and I'm back to continue on. Shocking then, it took 39 years to carry on from where I left off. A reminder of the perils, that the assumption that should I not succeed this lifetime, there is always next time I may try again, can result in a near miss, no guarantee, a roll of the dice, how's your luck, in which you may not pick up where you left off. So it's advisable to grab this opportunity with both hands and not let it go. Dwayne's daughter was in the Ekankar Corporation in the last lifetime she had. When she returned as his daughter, she had wonderful real-side experiences with Rebazar and the guides. But beyond a certain age, she turned from it all, and immersed herself in a literal one-dimensional life. So you can't trust that your little personal self will see the prudence in pursuing the presentation, even with previous lifetimes where you had the focus to becoming more aware. The little you is very stubborn and easily distracted. What with all the phenomena in creation, and more so than ever in this day and age of endless distractions, my little self always gets very excitable over the kind of computer games they bring forth, as I was once an avid computer game player, so I must keep that under control. But as time goes by, the urge to do so, and the like, do fade, and become just faint echoes in the wind, slight desires with no substance. I have the impression that my sister and I were very similar in our evolutionary process as individuals, and that we were both primed to take it on more so this lifetime. It's there in her, but she denies it. She is immersed, like Dwayne's daughter, into a lifestyle here, her family and social structure, which is fine and a choice, but I know that her real self is struggling to break loose. That is why she is so very agitated when I bring up any subject pertaining to the new presentation. Cognitive dissonance kicks in, which is the clever-sounding name for this phenomenon. You know it's real, the real you knows, but the created physical self won't accept it. A struggle then. I often tease her with information about reptilians. She literally will put fingers in her ears and make la 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 sounds. I've had real side dreams where I've tried to glean her attention. I was even playing a guitar loudly on a campervan above hers and her husband's to get their attention. John told me in the dream to cease. In other dreams, she is very opposed to what I tell her, and in others still, she is more receptive. She knows if she comes near me, she will have to listen to it, and so I will persist. But I have no stake in the outcome. We simply must present it, and not get ideas or get emotionally attached as to the outcome, or results, or lack of them. I rather like that arrangement, irrespective of how what is presented is received. There's nothing riding on the outcome. It is sharing, and that is that. Our lives or financial well-being are not dependent on the success of the sharing. In another dream, I was in the upper floor of a house. My sister was on several floors below, but I could hear her voice. She was, on this occasion, asking me to share information further about the real universes. I did so. This demonstrates the different life levels, the levels of the house. I was speaking more so from a position of awareness than she. Anyway, so about defending oneself. As a free being of light, we have the right to do so, and not only will we find ourselves attacked on the physical at times, but on other life levels too, on the real side as we dream. More so, those that wish to extricate themselves from the dreariness of creation will be the subject of attack. We will draw attention from the dark forces, working on behalf of the Callum God, who will be displeased at anyone wanting to leave the slavery, that is, the psych realms. Attacks and scare tactics are commonplace for the new students then. On my very first day of singing the new you, I had the impression of a dark-robed and sinister individual entering my room on the physical as I lay there. He simply stood and glowered at me, then departed. Other people report similar disturbances and off-putting tactics too. Joni and her band of tap-lining witches are always at large. They and the dark brats tirelessly work to keep people in creation, attacking on the physical, tap-lining during sleep. When I was on my way to work, a large creature swooped low and cast an almighty shadow over me. Looking up, I saw no sign, but once again a scare tactic. Charles, the other day, on his African Skype, shared a dream experience where he was fighting the dark forces. he utilized magics and abilities to keep the individuals at bay. Interestingly, singing the new you song and making the real connection will allow and permit the guides to protect an individual. They look after their own. One can be assured that should a dodgy situation and individuals present themselves, the guides are close at hand, and no one's going to get the drop on them. My advice to any dark-orientated individual who is planning to or indulges in attacking new students who are under the protection of the guides is simply don't. Besides which, attacks upon new students result in very severe karma and affect consequences that the perpetrator then has to deal with. We, the new students, then have quite the aura of protection. Imagine not having this, and being exposed and vulnerable to the dark forces that rule creation. A sobering thought indeed. The guides, though always watching, do like to let the new student deal with their own experiences. This is understandable. An individual should want to learn how to handle themselves throughout all creation, with the guides always ready to step in should it be necessary. In dreams, I often have individuals following me around, not involving themselves in the unfolding experience, but simply following. I would determine these are the guides, keeping a watchful eye, confirmed by the fact that on occasion the individual following me comes to the fore and deals with a situation that's getting out of hand and beyond my ability to deal with. Personally, I rather enjoy testing myself and seeing what I might do. It's always a surprise how you will deal with a situation. Like in Charles' experience, I've battled with monsters too, teleported about, and used magic fire to slay vampires and creatures. The real you always knows what to do, but it is accompanied onto the real side with the personal little self, who sometimes gets in the way, has funny ideas, thinks it knows best, and does daft, sometimes regrettable things. And sometimes things are not what they seem. Yes, you may be fighting vampires and demons, but are they creatures and individuals, or something else? Then the little self adds ideas and emotional outpourings of regret and remorse for killing or fighting with such creatures. But the right to defend ourselves is real, and even if terminal intensity is required, it's just how it is. But also, what we are killing in defence or battling with is not always what it seems. A monster may be a projection, a rampaging thought form, as everyone's thoughts, if maintained long enough, can give rise to thought forms which stomp around the astral level and do whatever funny things they do. Thoughts and even ideas can manifest as monsters, ideas in your own aura. Effectively then, you are not fighting anything other than yourself. And what with us being bombarded with information on a daily basis, never before has the human been subjected to movies and imagery of such intensity and brilliance that thought forms and self-made monsters stemming from this overwhelming visual stimuli are very likely. I once watched a series about a mass murderer in Australia. Fiction it was, and called Wolf Creek. It was very graphic and intense. That night I encountered the murderer in it, Mickey, and he seemed very real. It's likely he was a thought form or idea I had formed due to the series I had watched. He chased me all over the dream arena. Then I stopped and sang the New You song, and he liked it. He was calmed, ceased his attempts to chase and presumably kill me, and wanted me to sing on. Once again, the New You song can be protection or a nullifier of even projections and thought forms, it would seem. Your real awareness always knows how to act accordingly, so you can trust it is so, with your physical self always along for the ride, to maybe get in the way, then add ideas to what has taken place.